What if two states with nearly identical landscapes and a shared history took such drastically different paths that one is now thriving with nearly 5 times the population of the other? Today, we're diving deep into the story of Virginia and West Virginia, two neighbors that couldn't be more different when it comes to population. Why do so few Americans live in West Virginia compared to its eastern neighbor? The answer lies in a combination of geography, economy, and history. And that is the first question that we're going to answer. How did early settlement affect population patterns? Before we uncover this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss out on future deep dives into American geography and history. Imagine living in a time when the Cherokee, Iroquois, and Shawnee dominated the land. Their civilizations flourished in the very Appalachian Mountains we're talking about today. These lands were part of what is now called the Commonwealth of Virginia, which spanned vast territories, including present-day West Virginia. These indigenous peoples had established sophisticated societies, cultivating the fertile land along rivers in what we now call the Appalachian Plateau and the Atlantic Coastal Plain. But what changed when European settlers arrived? When settlers arrived, the fertile plains of what is now Virginia attracted more colonists, while the rugged and mountainous terrain of present-day West Virginia remained sparsely settled. But as we'll see later, this was just the beginning of the divide between these two states. Virginia became the first English colony in North America in 1607 with the settlement of Jamestown. By this time, the colony was a key player in the colonial expansion of the British Empire, and over the next century, it developed a thriving economy based on tobacco and plantation agriculture, largely powered by enslaved labor. Meanwhile, the Appalachian region, where present-day West Virginia lies, presented much more challenging terrain for settlers. Its steep, rugged mountains and dense forest made large-scale agriculture difficult. Settlers who moved into western regions were often smaller farmers, homesteaders, or traders living in relative isolation compared to the bustling coastal cities of Virginia. The split between Virginia and West Virginia became official during the American Civil War. The western counties of Virginia, which were geographically separated by the Blue Ridge and Allegheny Mountains, felt alienated from the plantation-dominated, slave-reliant economy of eastern Virginia. These western counties favored small-scale farming and opposed secession from the Union. In 1863, they broke away to form their own state, West Virginia, under unique circumstances during the Civil War. This geographic and political split set the stage for very different developmental paths, and we still see the effects of that divide today. Eastern Virginia, with its plantation economy and ties to the British aristocracy, developed into a wealthy, hierarchical society. West Virginia, on the other hand, was settled by small farmers and mountain communities who valued independence and self-reliance. This cultural legacy still shapes both states today. As we saw from the historic context, geography played a major role in the settlement patterns, but how exactly did it affect the economic development? Virginia boasts a diverse landscape, from the fertile plains of the Atlantic coastal region to the rolling hills of the Piedmont. These areas, combined with proximity to the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., have made Virginia a hub of economic activity. Today, Virginia is home to a thriving tech sector, numerous military bases, and a burgeoning service industry, all of which have contributed to population growth. Virginia's economy is diversified with sectors ranging from agriculture to manufacturing to finance and government contracting. The state ranks high in GDP and has one of the highest per capita incomes in the southern U.S. Today, West Virginia's GDP is a fraction of Virginia's, just $99 billion, compared to Virginia's $707 billion. West Virginia, on the other hand, is geographically dominated by the Appalachian Mountains, which cover most of the state. The rough mountainous terrain made transportation and large-scale farming difficult, limiting its economic development. West Virginia's economy has traditionally relied heavily on coal mining and other resource extraction industries, which, while once prosperous, have been in decline for decades. The rugged landscape also limits infrastructure development, meaning fewer highways, fewer cities, and fewer job opportunities. This lack of diversity in the economy has caused West Virginia's population to stagnate and even decline in recent decades. The difference in infrastructure is striking. Virginia, with its flat coastal areas and strategic location, has developed a sophisticated transportation network, including major highways, airports, and rail systems. West Virginia's steep valleys and towering ridges make infrastructure projects more difficult. Many of its roads and bridges are in poor condition, and its internet coverage lags behind the national average. The state has been working on improvements with new federal funding allocated, but the challenges of geography continue to slow its growth. Virginia's infrastructure supports a booming population. In 2024, Virginia's population sits at around 8.7 million, compared to West Virginia's population of just 1.76 million. The population disparity is clear when you look at the cities. Virginia's capital, Richmond, has a population of approximately 230,000 people, while West Virginia's capital of Charleston has just under 50,000 people. West Virginia, meanwhile, has struggled with population decline for decades, facing a perfect storm of economic and geographic challenges. Since the 1950s, many residents have left the state in search of better job opportunities elsewhere. This exodus was largely driven by the decline in demand for coal, once the backbone of West Virginia's economy. As the world began to shift toward alternative energy sources and mechanization became more prominent in mining, fewer workers were needed, leading to significant job losses in the state's coal industry. As sectors such as coal mining and manufacturing shrank, so did the state's job market, pushing people to relocate in search of better prospects in states like Virginia, which offered more economic opportunities and a broader range of industries. This lack of economic diversity and opportunity has led to a steady population decline, particularly among younger residents who often leave to pursue education and career opportunities in more economically vibrant regions. Today, this ongoing trend of out-migration continues to impact West Virginia's population and economic growth. In the end, the story of why so few Americans live in West Virginia compared to Virginia comes down to having access to the coast, fertile land, and diversified economy that made it a hub of growth and development. West Virginia's mountainous terrain, reliance on a shrinking coal industry, and isolated communities kept its population low and limited its economic opportunities. So what does the future hold for West Virginia? Will it find new ways to grow, or will the divide between these two states keep getting wider? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think.